Right, deep breath. Let's come on to the ethnicity question, and let's do it properly this time. In the first half, you saw where the inquiries for percentages came from. Now, here's how we're going to replace them. I am going to read to you every official or serious data set that exists on the ethnicity of these offenders. All of them in date order, including the ones that cut against my own criticisms of this inquiry. Now, one concept first in very plain English, because everything hangs on it. They said, where recorded. That was the quote. And the issue here is exactly this. Britain's crime data, for most of these cases, nobody wrote the ethnicity down. We're going to have to hang on to that as we hear what we're about to hear. So, data set number 1. It was in 2011, the National Police Child Protection Agency, the CEOP, they analysed 2,379 people reported as possible localised grooming offenders. The results? 30% white, 28% Asian, 3% black, and 38% unknown, blank. Their own conclusions quoted in the government's review, not possible to draw firm conclusions. That's data set number 1. Data set number 2 I found in 2012. The Children's Commissioner, the official champion for children in England, gathered reports of 1,514 perpetrators of group and gang exploitation. The results: 36% white, 27% Asian, 16% black, the rest unknown. And the report itself says, and I quote, "No conclusions should be drawn from these figures as the data quality is poor." End quote. They printed the numbers and the warning too. That's, by the way, what honest reporting looks like. Data set number 3 I found in 2013, and this one cuts the other way. So listen carefully, because I'm not hiding it. CEOP did a follow-up focused specifically on groups that target vulnerable children. Of the 52 groups with usable data, half were recorded as entirely Asian. Of about 300 offenders in that sample, roughly 75% were recorded as Asian. Small sample, narrow category, which is a question there, but that is a real finding in a real official assessment. And anyone who tells you there's nothing here, they're not being straight with you either. But I want you to bear in mind, it was 300 offenders. Now, the same year, Parliament's Home Affairs Committee summarised the overall national picture, and I quote, "The research did not find any consistent patterns connected to culture or ethnicity in the profile of offenders," end quote. And both of those sentences are true at once. Striking pattern in one narrow sample, but there's no consistent pattern overall. And reality is annoying like that. You won't always find the trend you're looking for. Data set number 4, which was from 2017, which is the famous 84%. We covered this in the first half. 264 convictions counted from 12 years of media reported cases from newspapers, rejected by the government's own review, and I quote, "It's not suitable for drawing conclusions." And by the way, it was also demolished in peer review. Over 100 uncounted white offenders reportedly found in half a day of proper research. That's obviously not evidence. So moving on, data set number 5 in 2020, the government's own review, the vanished document, the document this inquiry never mentions. The Home Office pulled together everything known. Its headline sentence, and this time I'm reading it from the actual document word for word, I quote, "Research has found that group-based CSE offenders are most commonly white," end quote. Now, followed, same document, by the honesty clause that some studies suggest overrepresentation of Asian and black offenders relative to their population share. And the data is too poor to be definitive nationally, but that document, the single most relevant official review of this exact question, is never mentioned in the report's 219 pages. It's not even critiqued or attacked, it's not disputed, it vanished. We do have to ask the question, why? Does it not fit the political narrative that they found the group-based CSE offenders are most commonly white? Data set number 6, 2023. The newest and the biggest, the police's own national analysis of every recorded child sexual abuse and exploitation crime. For group-based cases specifically, only about a third of suspects had ethnicity recorded at all. So we've got a blank register here. And of those recorded, 83% were white or white British. Now, the analyst's own words about the missing two-thirds, quote, "The current data simply does not allow for robust or responsible interpretation," end quote. And in January 2025, police chief said publicly, as reported, that the vast majority of grooming gang offences in the latest data were committed by white men. Data set number 7, 2025, the Casey audit, the most important one. Baroness Casey, commissioned by the government, audited everything. Two findings, and you need to hear both. Finding number 1, nationally, ethnicity was, quote, "still not recorded for two-thirds of perpetrators." So we are, and this is still the quote, "we are unable to provide any accurate assessment from the nationally collected data," end quote. And she aimed this at both sides. She said flawed data has been, quote, "used repeatedly to dismiss claims about Asian grooming gangs. This does a disservice to victims," end quote. In other words, the people confidently saying it's mostly white men, nothing to see here, they were also leaning on a register that's two-thirds blank. And she's right, she said that's misleading. But then, on the other hand, finding number 2, in 3 police force areas where she could dig into local data, Greater Manchester, South Yorkshire and West Yorkshire, she found, quote, "disproportionate numbers of men from Asian ethnic backgrounds among suspects," end quote. Enough, she said, to at least warrant further examination. The reported local figures in Greater Manchester's multi-victim, multi-offender cases, around half of suspects recorded as Asian in West Yorkshire, 35% Asian against the local population. And so disproportionate just means, by the way, more than you'd expect from their share of the local population. That is a real official current finding, and I'm not going to hide it away. But it's nothing like the claimed 87, 95% Muslim nationwide established. So now let me do the thing that the report refused to do, and the thing its loudest critics also refused to do. 2 sentences, both true, and I'm going to say them together, or we don't say them at all. Sentence number 1, in every national data set where ethnicity was actually recorded, the largest group, usually the overwhelming majority of child sexual abuse suspects, including group-based cases, is white. The report never tells you that, not once in 219 pages. But if you reject this data set, then you also have to reject the next sentence. Sentence number 2, in the specific street grooming type of case, in specific places, several major prosecutions, 1 narrow 2013 sample, and even Casey's 3 police areas, men of Asian heritage are genuinely overrepresented. And the official audit says that deserves honest investigation, not denial. You either have to reject both, or you have to accept both. And the vast majority of child sexual abuse suspects, when it comes to group-based cases, is white, along with that we need the official audit saying that we do deserve honest investigation into the overrepresentation. And so that's the real picture. Anybody who gives you only sentence 1 is not being academically honest, or anybody who just gives you sentence 2 is also not being academically honest. And anyone who says 95%, by the way, they're just making it up.